Hello, one and all. This is Luckless LoveLinks, and welcome to Citizen Sleeper. We get to choose our character class to start with, an operator or extractor. I think I'm going to go with the extractor. They work on resource extraction, often in hard vacuum environments. Sleepers assigned to extractor work are often confident, self-sufficient, and have a high level of endurance, but not too bright. And I think that's how I'm going to play this one. Maybe not the smartest, but the toughest. So we've got engineering skills at 0, which means working with machines and physical tools. Interface 0, work with digital interfaces. Endurance +1, use strength or strength of will. Intuit -1, approach problems with awareness. Engage 0, approach a problem head on. That sounds like us too. We're gonna up engage and endurance, and we're just gonna like power through this. I'm gonna play this like I play my Dark Souls likes. Let's begin. I love the style of this game. It's a sci-fi RPG with, I think, like some die rolling mechanics, but we're gonna see how it plays out. It's getting really good reviews, and I've wanted to play this for a bit. Unknown, where are you? We've got items and data. Cryo, cryptocurrency stored in air-walled sticks of memory known as chits. The first thing you become aware of on waking is the disconnect, the delay between thinking and feeling. I'm so aware of that. Between wanting to act and acting. Minor, almost imperceptible, but always present. It's at its worst when waking, when yourself has spent many dark hours recalling what it felt like to be real, to be a person, to be in a body that was indisputably yours. Let's think about it. Maybe we want to get our body back. One of the fun parts about these types of games is like coming up with an idea for a character and coming up with like a backstory and trying to explore that. A leap into a cold lake on a hot day. The sting of blood welling from a fresh wound. The friction of a fingertip. All of a sudden, the memories are closer than you thought, blurring as you approach, until you can't tell one from the other. The cold slips in, behind and around you, and the sensations fade out of reach. Perhaps you should be thankful for the dulled nature of this new body, given your current circumstances. The walls of the container feel immediately present, cold, hard, at your back and face, cramping your limbs. You resist the desire to stretch, knowing that the claustrophobia comes next, and retreat a little from your central nervous system. It isn't painful, not like you used to know pain at least. In emergency mode, pain is a message delivered with efficiency and ease, a reminder that harm is imminent. There is no insistent throb, no trembling nerves, just a warning delivered with the banal quality of a digital notification. Right now, there are thousands of them. Remember the others, huh? You remember there were 10 of you. 10 that can no longer stand the indentured work, the routines, the slow decay. I feel that. 10 whose belief in their promised future was slowly dismantled day by day, until they realized they had sold away everything that could and would ever matter. 10 that would escape, or at least die trying. Some were lost in the shaft. Others never found the meeting point. Only a few made it to the containers, but the freighter, as far as you know, left. That feels like enough. Enough to know that you might no longer be on that grim and heartless rock. Even if, in the airless hold of a freighter, you might freeze solid long before you reached any destination. Let's wait for the cold. That's all there is now. It's been a long time since you left, surely weeks, maybe months. You're dully aware of damage to your legs, your right arm. You've been reserving energy as much as possible, but even then your body has shut many of its systems down to protect you. You've spent much of that time asleep, knowing that anything else would be impossible to endure. You feel the weight of that impossibility begin to gather. It's time to sleep again, to nudge this false body into inducing delta waves in your emulated mind, and once again, recoil into a dream of when you were once a person. Time passes, the cold creeps further in. You feel something. Warmth. Not true warmth, but the indication of its presence. Your joints release from their rigor. Sound too, everywhere, screeching and shimmering so loud that your body ducks your hearing to protect its sensors. Then light. White as the cold. Then softer and softer, till in a haze of dirty yellow, a figure appears. You're out. Dragos, pragmatic salvager. It's been a few hours since Dragos pulled you from the container. You sit huddled in a corner of his scrapyard, swaddled in the reflective folds of a mylar blanket. You're slowly coming back to consciousness, back to life, and you stare at the ornately curving element of an improvised heater. Dragos is a pragmatic and private salvager. You're surrounded by angular, incoherent lumps of ships, some corroded beyond recognition, others still carrying glassy wounds along their edges, where a plasma arc sliced them apart. As you trace their shapes with fogged eyes, you hear a voice. So, sleeper, you all thawed yet? Almost. Ever seen one of you come in like this? New frames must have better perseverance in sub-zero vac. Seen more than a few of you frozen solid to hull plates, or inside outer locks in my time. They weren't so lucky. Dragos comes into focus, shrouded in makeshift tech. His headset with its glinting eyes, the mark of a drone operator. On his shoulder, one of his symbiotically linked drones perches. Its irising eye locking you with an unflinching stare. Last living sleeper that came through this yard was a while ago. They didn't last long. You struggle to read his expression beneath the tech, but he seems lost in memory for a moment. Or perhaps he's just figuring out what to do with you? What happened to them? He ignores your question. I won't ask what led you to do it. To sell yourself to a corporation. And I suppose you know you can't go back. Your old body, that's theirs now. And you are just software. A rogue emulation illegally possessing corporate property. You nod along. You remember biometrically signing the forms. The cold floor on your feet as you padded to the sleeper cells. The promise of a life off-world. But as you do, you get the now familiar sensation that these aren't your memories. These are things you know, but not things you feel. You're no longer that person. You are an offshoot, a copy. What you won't know is what's ahead. At least the last one didn't. There's no easy way to put it. That body of yours is falling apart. It's the same for any sleeper who makes it out. S&R wants to protect their property. But if they can't keep hold of you, well then no one can. You remember that too. Or at least rumors of it from the other sleepers. Planned obsolescence, a built-in dependence on the regularly administered supplements that were part of your routine. Stop taking them and your body begins to shut down. Separate from your emulated mind. How long has it been? How long do you have? But for now, sleeper, you're one of the lucky ones. Dragos glances up and away towards the glassy dome of the yard. The eye is the best place you could be right now. The eye? Station. You'll see soon enough. Dragos impatiently shifts his weight. Look, I've got things to be getting on with, he trails off. There's an old freight container I've been using as storage out in the stacks. We haven't been pulling in much valuable scrap these days, so you're welcome to it. Something wells up inside of you. Emotion, fatigue? You shakily get to your feet. You nod. All right, you head on up there. You look like you need some rest. And with that, Dragos stalks back into the wrecks, his drones already converging on a rusting hulk. Plasma flashes silhouetting his spindly figure as he returns to work. Tutorial, okay. Welcome to Erlin's Eye. Life on the Eye runs in cycles, during which you can talk to characters, explore areas of the station, and perform actions. At the end of each cycle, you need to head to your current home to rest. Resting will move time forward on the station. Head to the empty container location to rest and end the cycle now. Select locations by clicking on their icons. Empty container. Okay, what can we do? can move up and down. We can rotate. We can look at our character. Self-repair, icebreaker, hard to kill. Two upgrade points. We have none right now. Okay. Per cycle, energy, condition. All cycles need to end. Rest and prepare for the next one. Guess we have no choice. You wake curled up in the corner of the container and begin slowly assembling the world around you. After all this time, you still find this body, the one you wake in now, strange and disjointed. Its messages readable but somehow wrong. You sit up, pulling the mylar blanket close against the cold. Here you are on this ruined station, millions of miles from anyone you know. Were you still in the system? Did any of the others make it out? There was 10 of us, right? It's impossible to know. After all this, what matters? Our character? Escape, I guess, at all costs. Or building a new life, maybe. I think escape. The colony, your indentured service, that's in the past now. No point digging through the fragments. You need a path ahead. A way of keeping this failing body going. If you can keep yourself alive, perhaps you can find a way off this station and out the system for good. I think that makes sense given our character. We're a survivor. Dragos has left a few comforts in the container. The mylar blanket, the bedroll you slept on, a canister of water, a makeshift electric stove, and some faded sachets of some desiccated powder. You thumb the power stud of the stove and begin to boil the water. The contents of the sachets smell like damp wood, and you sprinkle them into the liquid. As the pungent smell washes over you, images of your restless sleep come back to you. A ring, like the station, but skeletal and ghostly. A web of threads pulling at your skin. A constellation of bright, polygonal shapes, like angular suns burning into your mind. There's something unpleasantly visceral about these images, and it is long after you finish drinking, they begin to fade. You tidy away the stove as best you can, and try to gather enough energy to greet the day. Condition, action, dice, and energy. So this is where the dice come into play. Number 1, your condition represents the current state of your artificial body. It depletes by 1 segment each cycle, but can also be damaged by violence, injury, or lack of food. If your condition bar empties, you will suffer a breakdown. That's at the top, okay. It says flickering. You'll have to figure out how to recover your condition now that you no longer have access to corporate pharmaceuticals that were keeping you alive. The action dice, at the start of each cycle, you roll your action dice. These dice can be used to perform actions on the station. The number of dice rolled is based on your current condition. The worse your condition, the less dice you have, so the less chance you have of getting a good roll, a good dice. Once you have used your dice, you cannot take any further actions and must rest to recover them, ending the current cycle. At the bottom here is energy. You also need to eat to survive. This is represented by your energy bar. You can refill your energy bar by eating, but first you'll have to find somewhere to get food and currency to buy it. Your energy depletes by 2 segments each cycle. These are the segments, I'm assuming. If it becomes empty, you will be starving, and your condition will deplete at a double rate per cycle. Okay. How do I use these? I can leave. Dragos is stood in the corridor when you close up the container. He's still wearing his headset, and in the harsh light of the corridor, you realize it is implanted. A drone sits on his shoulder, its cache of sensor eyes rapidly irising. How are you feeling? Not good. The drone chirps. Dragos nods. You notice that beneath the operator's rig, his skin is marked by burns and blotches. I know the container isn't much, but it'll keep you safe. He pauses. So I'm not going to chit-chat too long. You well enough to work? Sure. All right then, he nods. At the yard, it's simple stuff. We hack these old hulls down, sell them off to the shipyards or the bright market dealers for cryo. Occasionally, we pull out some tech, something with a bit more value, but most of what comes in is scrap. It's hard to find good hands here, but I figure as a sleeper, you'll be used to the manual labor. And obviously I'll slip you a few chits of commission, based on what you turn up. Chits? These. He pulls out a handful of small metal bars. Air-walled cryo, isolated from the markets. It's what we use to trade out here. He stuffs them back in a pocket. He shuffles his feet nervously. Look, I wouldn't usually do this. In my opinion, you'd be best suited moving on as quick as you can. And sleepers, well, trails off. But things being the way that they are for me at the yard, he pauses. I need the help. Why? Things are a little tight, that's all. I owe a little cryo to a client here or there. He pauses, thinking of something else to add. Look, just come down to the yard when you're feeling fresher. There's plenty to do. Will do. He nods distractedly and turns and walks away. The drone hopping along ahead of him. See you later, calls back. Looks like it's time to get to work. Dragos' yard, decaying scrapyard. Our home's there, okay. So here's another station. Low end gate, passage into the low end. Guess we'll select that and just see what happens. We've got a 2, a 4, and 2 5s. Pay low end toll. After some spacers cause some trouble in the low end, Gadigan have imposed a toll for entry. At least that's what they say. Input 60 cryo. We don't have any cryo. That's all there is up here. Okay. Actions. 1 of 2. Actions are the primary way you interact with the world of Citizen Sleeper. To perform an action, click and drag your chosen action dice to the slot. So we've got a repeatable action, which is hull dissection. Even the rustiest hull can hide valuable components and materials. Extracting them means cutting carefully and skillfully. It says risky. Then we've got manual salvage. It's going to take some time to sort and cut your way through the towers of salvage, but you're no stranger to hard labor. And that's safe, I guess because we have +1 endurance. Actions reward you with clock progress, energy, condition, or items, depending on their outcome. There are 3 types of outcomes. Positive, goes better than expected. Neutral, the action succeeds, or negative, the action fails. Action dice affect these outcomes as follows. So a 6 is 100% chance. 5 is 50 positive, 50 neutral. 3 or 4 is 25 positive, 50 neutral, 25 negative. 1 or 2 is 50 neutral, 50 negative. Actions display information about their type, risk, level, and the skill and modifiers that apply to that action. Number 1 is the type, either critical or repeatable. Critical actions can only be performed once. Also seems like they might be time sensitive. Risk, either safe, risky, or danger. Safe is no loss of condition, energy, or cryo. Risky, negative outcome means cryo or energy loss. What if you have no cryo? Danger, negative outcome means condition loss. Neutral outcome can mean cryo or energy loss. Okay. Skill. Skills that this action requires, either engineer, interface, endure, intuit, or engage. Modifier, either -1, 0, +1, or +2. This is added to the action dice when slotted and improves its value. Some actions require a +1 to perform. Okay. Debt called in. Dragos is tied up in something ugly, and if he misses a payment or two, things get nasty. Cycle clock. Okay. Back in business. Every salvager knows they're always just one lucky haul away from their next payday. Okay, so should we do annual salvage? And if I do 4, I'm going to get a +1, right? So... But... Let's do the 4. Can I... Okay, so I can like try different things out. How do I... Oops. How did I remove that? Oh, you just click on it to remove it. Or drag it out, it looks like. Okay. Do I have to do both? Oh, there's start action right here. Tutorial clocks. Actions often progress clocks. Clocks are displayed below the actions that fill them, and they track your actions and how they affect the world. Filling a clock means something good or bad is about to happen. Some clocks, such as the one tracking Dragos' stead, are cycle clocks. These clocks tick themselves once each cycle and can complete without player input. Any active cycle clocks will be displayed on the icon for that location. That's cool. So it didn't click this one, even though I thought it would, but it did this back in business one. I think that was a neutral outcome. Should we try this one? Just. Survive, find a doctor. Drives and navigation, 1 of 2. In Citizen Sleeper, you'll unlock drives as you discover more about yourself and the world. Drives guide you in pursuing specific objectives, depending on which path you wish to take. You can track drives, and any tracked drive will place a yellow marker on locations that will help you pursue your goal. Access your drive menu via the arrow button at the top left of the screen. You're now free to explore Erlin's Eye and make a life for yourself here. Try tracking a drive to help you survive. Look for food to keep your energy up and a way to recover condition. Fill clocks to progress stories and find new opportunities. Remember to end cycle at your home when you're out of dice. Do you have to use all your dice? Use the mouse wheel W and S to scroll along the station. Rotate the view with A and D. Okay. Okay. Neutral outcome, +15 cryo. This like these are kind of like missions. Dragos pulled you out of the salvage and set you up. Perhaps you can repay his kindness in time. You need access to corporate pharmaceuticals, otherwise this escape attempt will come to rapid end. I guess, have I tracked both of them? I can only track one at a time, it seems. So we got 25 cryo. We've got 2 more dice. Let's look around a bit. Shipyard. Havenage construction yards. And it said the ones that will help our selected drive are highlighted. Is that highlighted because there's a like yellow, well, highlight? Oh, maybe it means this. Dock C4, Rotunda Wet Dock. Nope. Rotunda Old Dock Terminal. Dock B2, the Rotunda Wet Dock. Bright Market and Low End Gate. Okay. Now this one has a dot on it, so this must be for this this quest or drive. Let's go check it out. Ask for directions. It's a critical action. Why wander when there are hundreds of people that live and work within the Bright Market? All you need is the courage to approach them. Or we could do a repeatable action, explore the market. -1 though, because we have crappy Intuit. The smells, sounds, and buzzing activities of the Bright Market makes it a dizzying place to wander, but an enticing one too. Should we go for it? Let's do it. It says danger. Be nice if I could like click on that just to see, remind myself what that means. Local knowledge. The Bright Market is the busiest part of the Eye's lower rim. You can find anything and everything here. Anything and everything. Let's take a risk. Neutral outcome. -6 cryo, but two local knowledge. Okay. What do we do with that? Let's keep looking around. Oh, Sabine. Oh, a Slum Doctor. There we go. Next comes the call from the enforcer at the door. You shuffle down the flickering hallway towards the open apartment door. You keep your head down and your shoulders high in the queue, trying not to bring attention to yourself. You are thankful for the tip-off that a doctor was operating out of this place. But now you're here, you aren't so sure. The gang enforcer on the door, the flickering light strips, the decaying hab block. They have all made the long queue a test of your nerve. But your options are few, and without a supply of stabilizer, your body will suppress a shiver and shuffle forward to the front of the queue. You try to find something to distract yourself. Let's look at the enforcer. The enforcer is looking down the corridor, and you dare to glance at him. His purpose is unmistakable. He is there to intimidate, to threaten, and if necessary, carry through those threats. His broad shoulders are framed with a metal exoskeleton. A couple of mirror-like implants sit below his eyes, like mercury teardrops. Subsidiary sense input or aesthetic markers, you aren't sure. You also aren't familiar with the geometric blade-like tattoo on his arm. But you make a note of it. You avert your eyes when he looks back at the queue. After a few moments, a figure pushes through the doorway and you catch a distant voice. "Send the next one in, Toshiro." The enforcer jerks his head and you slip inside, passing through the dark entryway and pushing through the plastic sheeting on the far door. The room beyond is bathed in warm light. A floor-to-ceiling transparent panel gives a full view of the Bright Market sealed roof and the buzzing traffic above. And for a moment, you're transfixed by the motion. "Come, sit," comes a sharp voice, and you see a silhouetted figure turned away, replacing the plastic sheeting over the frame of a simple folding bed. You make your way across the room. A doctor in the Bright Market, Sabine. The figure turns, and as they do, you see an expression of confusion flash across their features. They open their mouth as if to speak. They blink, and then quickly regain their composure. "Please sit." They gesture to the bed, then turn to an open case of tools on the table. You sit. Sabine turns, a compact diagnostic scanner of some kind in their hand. They hold it to their eye. "Remain still, please." Their tone is clipped and businesslike. You stare ahead, still dazed from their expression. When you entered, fear, recognition, sadness, unmistakably etched across their face. "How long have you been on the station?" they ask, the scanner still to their eye. "Few cycles?" They nod. "It's good you came to me." They set the diagnostic scanner on the table. "I'm going to start by assuming you don't know anything." They take your arm and roll up your sleeve, inspecting your synthetic skin. "Your body is dying," they say it without ceremony, without drama, but not without empathy. "SNR doesn't like to see its proprietary technology let loose, to prevent bodies like yours, frames, as they call them, from being stolen, repurposed, or in your case, escaping. They built in a process of so-called planned obsolescence. Frames decay rapidly when not regularly injected with stabilizer, one which SNR remains the sole producer of." They look up. Sound familiar? How do you know that? I don't think I'm trying not to play like we're too inquisitive. That's what I would select probably, but I'll just say yes. Good, that may help. They swap to your other arm, running some thin metal device over your skin. You feel your forearm tremble. I'm sorry, Sabine says, and you're unsure if they mean for the cold touch of the metal or everything else. Emulations like you, sleepers as most people know you, aren't classified as people in any of the surrogate systems. You have no rights, no status. They focus hard on the inspection of your arm. And SNARP has no reason to release Stabilizer into the market. Sabine looks up as if to apologize again, but they stop themselves. I know little of this of use to you. They turn away, disassembling the metal instrument and cleaning it. Silence fills the room as Sabine works, and then the silence gives way to tension. You stare at their back, willing them to say something. Anything. Sabine turns to face you. I may be able to help. They sigh. And you see the darkness under their eyes, hear the fatigue in their voice. They gesture to the door. You saw Toshiro outside. You nod. He works for my benefactor, Yatagan. They are influential in the low end. They give me this space to work, run the door, and take the profits. At the same time, I have to fix up their enforcers, tend to their implants, sew up their wounds. They look away. But Yatagan has connections, smugglers from the Star Ward Belt, mercenaries working for the corporations on Ember. If they can source the stabilizer, maybe you'll have a better chance. Sabine sets down their slate, their notes complete. This is dangerous, and it'll be expensive, but I think we can do it. Why help me? Sabine walks away to the window, their face dappled by the shadows of passing drones. Let's just see if this works first. I'll let you know when I have a lead. You nod and leave. Sabine's still staring out, unmoving. When you reach the lower level of the market, you look back through the panels of the roof to see if you can see their face. But the room looks dark against the lights of the market. You duck your head and walk off into the crowd. Okay. Wait for Sabine to acquire the stabilizer. There's a street food vendor. Let's just go to all the different areas to see what's going on. Emphas is busy, his broad face uplit by the makeshift gas burner in front of him. Emphas, an imposing street food vendor. Okay. With precise, delicate movements, he lays thick chunks of marinated fungus into a dented wok. His other hand idly tossing a metal bowl of sliced vegetables and some red flake dressing. The smell is incredible. You watch as he fulfills a set of orders, heaping the fungus with the bright salad and depositing it in plastic trays. A stack of chits rattles in his apron pocket as customers file past the burner, handing over payment. Let's watch for a bit. Despite the queue, Emphas doesn't rush. He dresses each portion individually, squeezing precise slugs of liquid from an assortment of bottles into the bowl of torn leaves and bright slices, before tossing them loosely together. Occasionally, I'm getting hungry here. Occasionally, a waiting customer might mutter something about efficiency, but Emphas remains steady in his process. After a while, the queue fades back into the crowd, and Emphas sets down his metal bowl and looks up across the burner to see you watching him. I could feel your eyes burning a hole in my bowl. Free sample? Yeah. We nod. He gestures neatly. Come over. The smell is almost unbearably strong as he cooks. The earthiness of the fungus laced with something so spicy, the smoke makes your eyes water. The heat from the burner is like a bonfire, and your skin hardens in its glare. The writing is so great! Oh, I love these games! I know you sleepers, Emphas says while he cooks, his voice deep but clear. A hard life, a lot of stories. He glances up from beneath his cap with piercing eyes. I know. You tell him a story. You begin to tell him about your journey to the Eye, and he nods as he cooks, his eyes never leaving his work. You tell him of the confusion, the pain, but also the sense of possibility and its sudden arrival. Let me see if I can hit enter to continue. I can't. Okay. Space? No. You tell him of the cold and dark of the container and the endless cycles spent within it. Now it seems, you tell him, like some dream that you once had, but can never forget. You tell him that the eye excites you and scares you, and you're unsure where to walk, where to look, what to do. Eventually you tail off, running out of words. He places a plastic tray of steaming fungus in your hand. Steaming fungus sounds awesome! I mean, mushrooms are fungus, right? Next time, we can talk some more. He smiles. But next time, you pay. It's kind of like we paid with the story, right? He slams a heavy hand against the button on the burner side and it shuts off. The roar of the flame and its impressive heat fades. Next time then, sleeper. He waves you away and begins to oil the walk. Before you turn back to the alley, you notice the geometric patterns of circular scars across his forearms. Oh yeah, right here. I dig the art style a lot. Looks like when I move the mouse, it subtly moves the background. Each surrounded with a constellation of glinting pin marks. You walk away, and as you do, you take a bite of the rich, spicy, delicately sweet fungus. Your taste sensors light up like a fusion reactor. You'll be back. Ah, there we go. So our bar went up. Energy, if I remember what's what. So if I go back here, sourcing stabilizer. Sabine thinks they can source some stabilizers through yet again, but it's going to take a few cycles. Okay, so we're waiting for that basically. I can right click to leave. That's good. The wet dock. Salvage sortie. It takes several cycles to reach the starward belt and return. Loaded with scrap from the old wrecks. E2. A couple things we can do. Steal dock plans. It says danger. Have-an-age security have to have plans. Stealing them would be the fastest way to get to know this place. And the most dangerous. Or we can explore, which is risky, and -1. The rotunda of the old dock is filled with passageways and concourses, leading to all kinds of docking bays. Dock Watcher. Getting to know the rotunda doesn't just mean new places to visit, it means keeping your eye on new arrivals too. So I guess if we complete, I don't know if it applies to either of these, but we progress this, right? And once it gets completed, it triggers some event. Have an age watch list. Have an age runs, oh, if it's positive outcome, this goes up. If it's a negative outcome, we get closer to getting put on the watch list. Their security watches the docks. Better to avoid attracting their attention. That's cool. We check this out. No, the Hellion Crossing. Merchants willing to run the gauntlet of the Helion system, sorry. Is it Helion or Helion? It's be Helion, I think. Are rare, but those that do always return eventually. Shipyard. Assist a shipbuilder. Good for an engineer. You don't have connections, but you do have skills. If you can get a shipbuilder to notice them, you might be in. Haul materials is endure, but it's dangerous. As a newcomer, you can only gain favor by grabbing a load of materials and asking the nearest yard hand where to take them. And if it's a positive outcome, we get progress towards yard hand. The only way to get to know the shipyard is to work there. No tourists here. So I could try to do this. 25% chance that it's negative, though. And if we get positive outcomes here, I didn't notice the positive and negative. Every salvador knows they're always just one lucky haul away from their next payday. So I should probably keep doing this. It's safe to do anyways. Oh, plus back in business, plus 10 cryo. Was that a positive result? I didn't read the top line. We got 29 cryo. And we're out of dice, so I guess that's it for this cycle, right? Repeatable action, sunbathe. Your frame's photosynthetic skin allows you to gather energy through sunlight. The longer you stay, the better. Okay, all cycles need to end. Rest and prepare for the next day. Let's end the cycle. Cool.